invest still. Like, I think I will always want to invest, but all this is to create the ability to experience this earth, to die with no regrets. Looking back on it and say, like, okay, like, I did it all. Not like I lived a perfect life. No one does. But to be able to say, like, I helped people to the best of my ability. I changed lives by empowering people and doing things for people that can't do something back for you.
All right, it's showtime. What's up, everybody? This is Matt Teifke and Alex Kaufman, and this is the Real Estate Podcast. Appreciate y'all tuning in. As always, comment along with what you hear us talking about. We have our good buddy and consider your brother in a lot of ways, Sam Haynes. Thanks for coming on, man. We're honored to have you. I know you haven't been big on social media, but you're always behind the scenes with a lot of different businesses and doing a lot of cool things, just not actively like talking about it a lot online.
Yeah.
And so it's cool to get you here and introduce you to some people. So appreciate you coming, man.
My pleasure. Happy to be here, man. This is not typically something I do, but I'm not going to say no to you guys. So, yeah, this is a little different side of my life. I like being behind the scenes and getting stuff done and just being in the hustle. So to take a little break and do this is pretty awesome.
I hear it. Alex likes that too. But
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, man. So what we try to do is give value to entrepreneurs, any kind of business, really. We all like business just in general. But if it's cool with you, we kind of go through your background growing up and kind of figure out what you did to get to the point where you're at today.
Sure. And
we'll just talk business along the way and give advice. And I know you've done a lot of different things and cool things. And so wherever you want to start from, but no rush or anything. You know, we're here to just kind of talk and love to hear, you know, what life was like early on for you.
Sure.
And go from there.
No, happy to. Yeah, where do I start?
Where were you born, actually?
So, yeah, actually on the backside of that Formula One COTA track,
Okay.
like down in Valle, I was born there. Mom had me and my younger brother at home.
Okay.
So both of us were over 10 pounds, like close to 2 feet tall. Or some big Viking babies. Yeah, it was poor mom. But yeah, I was born there. We grew up extremely poor. We didn't have a whole lot going for us. My dad worked hard, but he had 4 kids and a wife he supported on a low salary. So we'd be out of gas on the side of the road every couple weeks, you know. So we got familiar with surviving on a large casserole over the whole week and went through that. So I think my drive started at a very young age. I didn't know what it was at that time. But my drive started like as early as I can remember. I remember my dad telling me about like financial struggles. I remember him telling me one point in time, I remember just barely being up to his waist and him telling me about, I only have $3 right now. And I remember just feeling this pressure for the first time. I just didn't know what it was. You know, and then fast forward a few years later, we'd had dogs and I'd seen my mom give away cats in the newspaper, and I'd seen puppies for sale in that newspaper. So first hustle was, I think I was like 9 years old, maybe close to 10 years old. Obviously didn't know it was a hustle. But I basically figured out how to, at that age, to raise puppies and keep them alive when they were young. And, you know, kept them nursing, flea combs, flea shots, did everything. Got my mom to put a ad in the paper, and I started making money at that age.
Nice.
So, yeah, I would sell puppies for $250 a pop and take that little bit of cash when my dad wasn't paying attention. I'd slide money into his wallet and stuff. So that was my first real hustle, first understanding of like that sense of urgency that I think we all kind of feel now, where it's like, it's not work. It's just a drive in us at that age.
That's cool, man. Yeah. I grew up playing sports. I consider myself like a true entrepreneur at heart.
Yeah.
But I didn't have those stories of like selling stuff when I was a kid. So I always like really respect that and like hearing that, because that's what a lot of, you know, business people that are doing what we're doing did when they were kids. They were like, and yours was more of it wasn't a hobby or anything. It was a necessity.
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't realize it was a necessity at the time. But it was just that drive. Like, I just remember seeing my mom and my dad not have much. Us being picked on as kids for that a lot. Most people that know me, even though I'm not very public, anybody that knows me close, they know what I've come from, and that, you know, that drive and that fire, it comes from something deeper there. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Were you raising pit bull puppies then?
No, it was little Shelties. They're like miniature collies. Real beautiful little lassie looking dogs. Yeah, so I raised, over the span of like 3 years, I raised them. I raised ducks and sold them. I'd buy little duck eggs, incubate them, hatch them, and sell them.
Wow.
So like I probably raised, I don't know, 50, 60 puppies.
Wow.
Tons of birds, and I always had money as a little kid. It was awesome. Like our old brothers were like, "Why are you doing that?" I was like, "I don't know. I'm gonna get some money." Like,
What were you doing? What did for you? What was money? Were you saving it? Were you buying stuff? Like
I would give some. I always hide some and give some to my parents. Always. But then I would buy like little trinkets. Always had a sweet tooth my whole life, so I'd sneak away and buy candy a lot. And then I would just pile it up. I had this little bank purse, and I would just pile it up in there and be like, "Look how much money I got!" Like a little kid. Like, so I don't think I had a concept of what to do with it and anything like that. But I remember like talking at that age of, I said I wanted to have a hauling company one day. I want to have a demolition company one day. Done that already. Different things I said at a very young age that showed shows the power of words. If you want something out of life, whether it be negative or positive, if you manifest that, typically it comes to pass. It may not be right away, but words are powerful. And I remember, different things, and even realizing at that age, I was like, man, I've been doing this for a lot longer than I realized.
Did your dad do manual labor or hard construction work at all?
He did. He was a landscaper his whole life. Yeah. Oh, not his whole life, but for my whole life, he was a landscaper. He did handyman work. So he worked very hard. Like very, very hard, long hours. Not for lack of effort. He just wasn't the best businessman. It wasn't his goal. Like he just did it as a means to provide, and then he had his other things he liked in life. So, it's construction runs in the family.
Gotcha. And John, was John partaking in any of these animal raising activities, or?
He would, his role in that would be teasing the animals. Like he'd play with the animals, but no, he didn't. Like John and I are very, very close, but we're very, very different. And so, he did his own things. He was always more creative, work with his hands. I'm not good with my hands working. Like I'm very analytical. I like to think and figure things out. He was kind of the opposite, very, very intelligent. But at the same time, anything you put in front of him with his hands, he's going to figure it out. For me, frustratingly quick. So yeah, he's totally different wiring, but it works great with me.
A few episodes ago, depending on when this releases, Matt and I had a podcast, and it was about shooting your shot. And Matt said that he doesn't believe he can dunk, but you and John can both dunk.
Yeah. As of last summer, I don't know if we pulled the goal out there right now, I'd be a little bit nervous, but I haven't shot a hoop. But yeah, I believe you can, man.
All right, that's what I'm talking about. So it is possible.
Raises, it is. Absolutely.
No, I'm with you. Well, Alex and I go in circles on these things sometimes.
Yeah.
Because there's a limit, right? Like I can't dunk on a 15-foot goal. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
sure.
But I agree with you. I was just gonna say, like, it's so true that whatever you set your mind on, you're gonna achieve. And it seems kind of simple, but I realized this like a year ago. Is like, at the end of the day, I really believe that we are all exactly where we want to be. Yeah. And we just might not be telling ourselves that. Like, you might say that you want to do more, you want to make more money, this or that. But if your actions aren't showing that, you're just, I'm just saying that because I think you're tricking yourself in your mind. You don't actually want that. You just think you want that. And if you can get past that, you can enjoy life a little bit more. Yeah.
And it sounds cliche because so many people say, you hear all the sayings, be positive, it happens, and you're the average of the 5 people around you in your environment. And everybody's heard those cliche sayings, but if you actually stop and practice that, and you surround yourself with like-minded people who are driven, who are goal-oriented, who want something similar in their life, and then you're manifesting that with your words as well. Like I'm a big, big believer in that. Like I don't have. Nothing was handed to me on a plate. I've had to figure everything out. I've had blessings with family helping me through school is the one thing there, but everything else I've had to figure out on my own. And a large credit to that is the circle around me and being selective with who I put around me in my very close circle. Knowing a lot of people's different, having a large network's different, but who's in your immediate circle combined with your thought process, I believe is a massive ingredient for who you become in life.
Yeah, for sure, man. And going back to, when we were talking about growing up, and so, you'd even mentioned then a few minutes ago that words are very powerful. When you were younger, you'd mentioned you wanted to have a demo or haul off company, and you've done that. And growing up, so the entrepreneurial spirit, raising ducks and dogs and whatnot,
the
and
common
selling
stuff,
them.
right?
The common things.
Everybody started that way.
What else was your? I mean, obviously, I'm sure you're a normal kid, like we all were, wanting to do normal kid things as well. But what else was your childhood like? Like maybe your attitude or what you were focused on? Because obviously you were focused on helping the family out and helping to provide and learning new things, and had visions or dreams or aspirations as a child of owning your own companies and such. What was kind of going through high school like, and in terms of that mindset? And
I think due to my circumstances of, I don't even want to call it poverty, but that being said, very, very being poor, I think I figured out a way to kind of block that out and then become, at that age, to that group in my life, annoyingly optimistic. So by the time 12, 13 came around, like that's when I started playing sports. I was terrible at sports to start. The most uncoordinated, just fish out of water kid possible. But I was still optimistic. I still believed no matter what I did, I was going to be good at it. So, starting high school, like I started playing basketball. I think I was 13 when I started playing basketball, so a lot later than a lot of kids started. But I just threw myself at it. And I've always been one of those people that's 0 or 100 from start to finish. No matter what I'm fucking doing, it's going to be like that. Mm-hmm. And so, like, I sat there and we had this little sand court. We didn't have concrete or anything. And the sand court literally divoted down from us like this from dribbling a ball on it so much. The wind would hit it, kick off that top layer of sand, and it just keep getting deeper and deeper. So we couldn't really dribble a ball, but the instant we'd be done with our school, we'd be out there shooting hoops every day. There would be times we'd shoot, if it was an off day, 8-9 hours a day. Mm-hmm. Like, became obsessive, got really good at it. So first year playing sports, like I was okay, but not very good, but I still made a lot of progress. Second year playing sports, I was arguably the top player on the team. By the time I hit freshman year, I was already starting. I took a senior starting spot on the varsity team, started breaking records for my team, different areas. So I became very passionate about my sports, figured out I could be really good at something. I put my mind to it. But I always stayed kind of like this bubbly, happy kid. Just, I'm going to try anything. It's all going to work. Yeah. Overly optimistic
That's cool.
at times.
And that's true still today.
Yeah.
James, I was talking to James. He's like, I thought I was a really nice guy, but then I got on Sam. And Sam's a really, really, really nice guy.
Man, I appreciate that. I'm a really nice guy minus that other side. We all have that other side. But yeah, man, I believe in you get what you put out, know, and I try my best to do right by people.
I love that about sports is when you realize like you get the results from putting in the work.
Yeah. It's kind of like
not
business
always,
too.
Yeah, exactly. But it's not always easy to see that because it takes time. But it's all like you said, simple things to follow, but obviously it works.
Yeah, absolutely right. Again, a lot of it sounds cliche, and everybody's heard it before. It's just, are you going to tune that out? Are you going to take a moment and stop and say, like, okay, like, here's where I'm at right now. And yeah, everybody around me's talked about improving or doing something different in their lives, but what am I actually going to do something differently? Mm-hmm. And you can read as many books as you want. You can listen to as many podcasts as you want. But if you don't stop and build some sort of little plan to change your circumstances, you're going to stay stuck in this rut. You're going to be living Groundhog Day on repeat if you don't break your cycle, So that was very powerful, learning that, learning the ability to overcome something at a very young age and not even realizing what I was doing, and then transitioning that through high school. I got multiple scholarships to play basketball. So transitioning that into high school and becoming good at something that I was terrible at, going through college, graduating, and then being able to take that whole mindset, believing I can do anything, into the real world, my career.
So you played all 4 years of college?
No, I only played a year. I played one full year in the second year, like I was in a small school. Realized pretty quickly I was zero chance I was going to the NBA. So I was like, what am I going to do? Like, am I going to dive into this and be full hardcore on this? I was studying business. I was studying marketing. I was in historical studies as well. So I had a lot of classes. So I pretty much decided either my family was helping me pay for school, my cousin, and I was like, either I'm going to take sports super seriously and my grades are going to fall, or I'm going to focus on business and something that I know I can actually be really great at. So I stopped playing sports, still did intramurals, and I just focused on my school. Last semester of college, I took 24 credit hours, 8 full classes to graduate. Had to go before the dean of students twice to get that approved.
Yeah, I took 18, and that was a lot.
Yeah, dude, it's incredible.
Yeah.
Like, and worked part-time jobs on the weekends too. I come drive all the way from Dallas to Austin.
Mm-hmm. What kind of jobs?
I worked at the Hyatt and the fine dining restaurants, where I learned to work with people, learn to be, decently well-spoken, understand how to put out a fire when someone's upset. It was incredible experience. So for 4 years, I would drive down there and make killer money in those places and learn how to delight a guest and learn to figure out what they'd want and how cool it is doing the simple tricks of memorizing their order, memorizing their name, never letting their water glass get empty, looking them in the eye.
That was pretty fancy.
Oh, yeah, very much so. It taught me a lot.
Upselling, trying to get them to buy the expensive items.
Absolutely. $1,000 bottle of wine. Oh, they like, please buy that there. So no, you're going to tack on your automatic 20% on that. All you got to do is sell a bottle of wine.
I'll never forget, it's kind of random, but me and my brother worked at a nice restaurant, and I was the bartender. And, like, watching him, he became a different person. Yeah. He was really good at it. But I was like, what? Who the hell is this?
Just smooth as butter.
So smooth. He was the best at it, honestly.
Yeah.
It was so funny to me.
Yeah. No, you almost have to. Like, you can be that person that's a bump on a log, but, like, you are at the mercy of every person coming to that table. Yeah. It's kind of like in real estate. Like, you're not going to go and present your worst self when you're trying to buy a house or close a deal or help somebody out of a foreclosure. Like, you're going to come out there and empathize and relate with them and touch them on their level. And I think that's what if I could take one thing I've learned from restaurants, hotel industry, construction industry, being an entrepreneur, real estate, it is that if you're going to pour yourself into something like that, put your best into that, and then appeal to the person that you're talking to in any of those industries, appeal to their highest self always. No matter if it is a homeless person or a president, appeal to their highest level. Don't treat them any different. The way I'm talking to you and Alex right now, same way I will talk to any customer, same way I talk to the person I'm dating, same way I talk to my brother. Always appeal to their highest self. And I think that just takes away these walls and makes people be comfortable with you and realize, okay, this person's actually being authentic. They're not full of shit. Like, they're actually interested in my problems, what I'm going through, taking care of me. And I think it created an ability to be able to communicate with people on a deeper
that's
level.
cool. That's cool. I've never heard of that, put it that way, but yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, you guys do it all the time. You just don't realize what you're doing, but that's exactly what you're doing. Like, I watch you guys do it all the time. When you're having a podcast, when you're closing a badass deal, you guys got the #1 rated brokerage in Round Rock. It's not by accident. It's hard work, caring for people, taking care of people, and then as our core values are in Longhorn, people first. Always put them first.
Right. That's good. That's a good takeaway, guys.
What attracted you to the construction business? Like, why demo and haul off when you were a kid? And we own a construction company together now.
Yeah. It's awesome doing that too with you guys. I think it was like, I don't know, growing up in the country and just blazing past in the woods and dealing with animals and stuff like that. And I would see it, and I would see, like, my mom used to take me garage sailing a lot. Again, we didn't have much money, so luck of the draw, whatever pair of jeans you're pulling out of that box, Sam's wearing those today. Hopefully they're guys' jeans, but like, if not, like, we're wearing them. So the luck of the draw on that was that. But, like, I think I don't know, like, just diving back into that all, like, it developed me from a young age, being able to see that construction side of things making money. I would see those garage sales. Someone would come in there with a haul off vehicle and haul off all this nice stuff. I'm like, man, that shelf's worth some money, different things. So at a young age, I saw that.
You're not like sitting around watching people trade stocks.
No.
So that's the world they're in. And then you just kind of see, there's an opportunity with that.
Yeah. Tangible results. And at that point, that point of my life, being a young kid, you see these things getting hauled off from homes, and like, oh my God, those things are worth so much money. Like, I can do that, get paid to haul that off. So that's where that started. And then once I left my work world, like, that was the best opportunity to partner on and kind of control my own shots.
Gotcha. So you going back to the service industry, because you graduated from college with your marketing degree, right?
A business degree and associates in marketing. Yeah.
Business associates in marketing. And then that place you were working for, the Hyatt, they offered you a job in Hawaii?
No. So I left that, but my former boss that had hired me there and allowed me to work really well, I had a real good relationship with him, and he had left the Hyatt and taken a position in Hawaii for a staffing company that actually staffed those same resorts. So he went back a house on that and left the actual corporate side of that. So he basically said, like, you did incredible with me for 4 years. I'm going to give you a shot on something that I was probably a bit too young to be doing that for the responsibility, the amount of people I'd have below me, which is, I mean, I had dozens of people with me. And that job, I hired and fired over 200 people in the span of a couple of years. But basically, I came in there, and that the people that I replaced were, I mean, the two predecessors before me were about 30 years older than me. And they basically came in and they said, like, here's your job role. Here's what you're going to do. Do it this way. Stand here and do this, this, and this. And I looked at everything they said, and I said, these two guys just failed. What can I do differently? So I reverse engineered the whole process, started putting the people first. I literally did not micromanage. I got away from everybody. If you couldn't stand on your own 2 feet, that's when I would fire you. But I empowered everybody around me. Within 6 months, I got a promotion there. The hotels all loved me there. Started opening up new accounts, opened up the Hyatt Regency Austin. So I figured out pretty quickly, I was like, I can be really good at this, but I'm not paid well enough. And I didn't feel like I was treated with respect. So the final decision for me that made me walk from that was I had just opened up the Hyatt Regency Austin, flew back to Maui. And I mean, my accounts there were still running well. I had 4 total big resorts under me now. And I said, I wanted a raise. They were paying me like $50,000 a year to live in Maui. Mm-hmm. I said, I want a raise. I said, pay me $80,000 a year. I can't even, like, a gallon of milk, $7 here.
Did you live at the resort? Or?
No, I had a company house.
Okay.
Company house.
So that was paid for?
Yeah, correct. Thankfully, I would never have made it, but I still barely scraped by. So I basically told them, I was like, you're going to pay me $80,000 a year? I was like, I mean, and they told me they would give me, I think it was $10,000 more. They give me $60,000. And they said, that's a good salary for a guy your age. So I said, I'll give you 3 months to train my replacements if you move all my stuff back from Maui to Texas. Mm-hmm. And they agreed.
Nice.
That was the last time I worked for somebody.
Last time you worked for somebody?
Yep.
So what happened after that?
Came back here to Texas, partnered with my oldest brother who had already started a construction company where he had been renovating. Figured out pretty quickly he was great at doing everything in the field. I was good at everything on the back end. Mm-hmm. And we grew it like from a relatively small company to a multi-million-dollar company in 2 years.
And is that before Austin, that company?
Yeah, correct.
Okay, got it.
Before diving into that real quick, I think it's, and I could be wrong, but when they told you that you should be happy with $60K,
yeah,
that someone your age, it's a good salary.
It's a good salary for a guy your age. Yeah.
So like age is irrelevant, right?
Correct.
It should be based on the skill and the value that you're providing to the company. But what was it there that caused you to say, all right, I don't want to go look for another corporate job, but instead I want to take this risk and go start this company and join my brother?
Well, the first thing I did when I got back here, it wasn't the first move, wasn't the construction. I actually had an interview for a sales job, and I had a connection that was high up in that company. And I went and interviewed for the sales job. I went through 4 interviews with it, and I was dead sure I was going to get it. But I was dreading it because it was a lot of being on the phone. It was a lot of cold stuff like that. I just don't love. You guys know that. You spend a lot of time with me. Like, I'm about my business, but I don't like hours on the phone. I don't like just doing all that. So I was kind of dreading it, and I felt like I did really well. And then they didn't hire me, and I didn't understand it. I remember walking through there, and I was like, I know I can sell better than every person sitting on their little medicine ball having fun in this place. Like, mm-hmm. They had this cool work environment. So that sting of rejection, even with the referral, I was like, man, like, why am I doing this anyways? So I sat down with my brother, and we, came to an agreement on that and took that path instead. Thankfully, man. Thankfully.
Sure. Yeah. Best
thing that ever happened to me was not getting that job.
What do you think it was, though, within that decision?
I couldn't really get an answer. I said, why not? He's just like, well, I don't know. We just didn't feel like you were the right fit here.
Well, but I mean,
you can apply again next year.
For you internally.
About that specific job?
About like, okay, I just got rejected. I know I can sell better than anybody else here.
Yeah.
Because I think that's a hard jump for a lot of people to make who, maybe have a job right now or a full-time job, and they want to go full-time into real estate investing or whatever it may be to bet on themselves. But that rejection or not getting that job, something happened internally for you to say, okay, I'm not going to apply for more jobs. I'm going to do this instead. Yeah.
I just felt used by that previous company. And then going into that, I felt at the risk, I'm trusting everybody watching this is not, I'm meaning this from a humble position, not building myself up, but I felt like I was better than what I was going to have to work my way up in that company. So a lot of people leaving their jobs now, they're dealing with, they have kids and they have a significant other and they have a ton of expenses. Thankfully at that age, I didn't have a whole lot tying me down. So I could be aggressive. I could try something crazy, and if it didn't work. And I think it was ultimately the way I was treated, the ability to not have things tying me down, and then truly believing if I am passionate about something and I have a plan, it will be successful. And I even knew that then. I was like, okay, like I can do this. Like he's got these things set. My brother had these things set up for me. So it was less of a cliff jump for me than it is for a lot of people, because I already had that mentality. I was like, I just came from doing this and dealing with, 1,000-room resorts here and stuff like that. I could do this. Like it's just, at that time, I think he was running like 10 or 15 remodeling jobs. We did end up doing a lot more than that, but I was like, this is nothing. I can do this. So it wasn't as big of a leap for me as that is a lot of people, but I also understand my circumstances at that age are a lot different than a lot of people are.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, dude, that's, it's also just inherent. You always wanted to have your own thing anyway.
Yeah.
So it was probably like a fire driving you to get there.
Yeah. And that fire's stronger today than it's ever been, which is crazy about that. But yeah, absolutely. Like before I realized it was a fire, I was doing it at a young age and then figuring out what it was and going through masterminds and coaching and paying astronomical amounts for people to teach me stuff. Like looking back at all that now, like that fire's stronger now than it's ever been. Like I'm one of the most motivated people you meet, not very public with it, but I'm extremely motivated, extremely driven. Like I've sacrificed so much to even get to where I am today. And I haven't touched the surface of what I want to do yet.
That's cool, man. This is like a small thing that, and you might like this or not, but I always used to say that too. And then I actually started phrasing it differently because I think it's more of an investment than a sacrifice.
Yeah.
Like,
okay. Great way of putting it.
Yep. And I said that until like the last 2 weeks. I would always say, I sacrificed to drive this Prius, but I'm investing in the long term.
And that's the best way to look at it.
But
again, words are powerful though.
They are.
And
right.
your perspective is everything, because if you're looking at it as a sacrifice, then it's going to feel like a sacrifice.
Exactly.
But if you're investing, like we all know, like how we live, like any house I own, I always live in the cheapest one. If I'm driving a vehicle, you're not going to notice my vehicle driving down the road because it's an investment.
Right.
We're looking at 40 years down the road, not the weekend, not next month, not 4 years down the road.
Right.
It is a lifelong process creating generational freedom. Notice I didn't say generational wealth, generational freedom. Wealth is just one of the tools that's part of freedom.
Yeah, absolutely.
Did you change the way you say that for you or for other people?
For me, it actually came from church. It's semantics, right? It's just a word, but I started to think about it, and this is just my perspective. Is like, and I don't judge anyone that uses it, but like, if you think of like Jesus, like he made a sacrifice, and like it almost seems disrespectful to me to use that word.
Yeah, you put it in that light. It
you know what I mean?
is.
And I know it's just words. And like I said, I'm not judging, but regardless of that aspect, it's like, when you think of sacrifice, like you're giving up to not get something in return. Yeah. And that's not what we're doing. No. By driving a Prius or not having the nicest house. Yeah. We're investing in the long run. So
you're laying
weird.
bricks.
I literally would say that sacrifice all the time, like 5 times a week, because I believe that. And but we're just investing in the long run. Yep.
No, that makes sense. I was just curious if it was bothering you. That makes a lot of sense.
I just thought it was cool. When I hear it, I'm like, this is how I see it. Like, say what you want, but like, this is interesting the way I view it now.
No, I like it. It's I actually think that it sounds better to other people who want to take this journey on as well, right? Yeah. Sacrificing doesn't sound too appealing.
Yeah, it doesn't.
But investing in their future sounds a little bit more doable.
Yeah. And that's exactly, in fact, it's more of if you're looking at it literally, it's more of an investment than a sacrifice. You're investing your time, your resources.
It's a trade-off.
Yeah, absolutely.
Matt dropping bombs today.
I'm telling you, man. Like, I love that. I love that perspective, man. It's incredible.
But it's cool because it literally, I mean, I talk about it when I hear it just to give that perspective, and I say it all the time.
Yeah. Sitting in the reticular activating system now. All right. Not sacrifice, it's an investment.
There you go. Yeah. But, man, so we feel the same way, and just to let people know, because we haven't touched on it too much, you're our partner at Longhorn, and that was a journey to get that started, and now we're all, running and gunning, and we all divide and conquer. And I think there's a lot of value to share about partnerships. I was talking to a guy today. He's like so scared of doing partnerships, and like we can all give our input here, but I was just like, man, at the end of the day, you have to start with your goals. Everyone's goals have to be somewhat aligned. You've got to identify your roles and be pretty clear on that. And then there is no magic answer. Like, you just have to be around the right people, do your best to find them. And we're all the type of people that don't try to nitpick and say, I'm doing this, what are you doing? And that's where things get ruined. Obviously, if like I was doing 90% and he was doing 10, like maybe there would be an issue. Sure. But it's just small-minded to think that way, in my opinion.
I agree.
If you're around the right people.
Yeah, and that's the key right there, because a bad partnership can ruin your whole life. Yeah. It can mess you up. But a good one, and I was just saying this with our third partnership last night. Buddy and Kay had dinner with them last night, and we were talking about the same thing, and we were saying like, okay, we have 3 partnership, a group owning this company, and it's a big company. It's becoming a big company now, or getting there. But like, why is it working for us? Like, when we all had failed partnerships. They're learning lessons. I don't believe it's a true failure, but it's a learning lesson. But for whatever reason, we've all had those. But like the 3 ingredients that I truly believe for us, we all have common goals, what we want out of life. There's no greed, and we leave the ego at the door. Those 3 things right there, if you can do those things, if you're looking at the same guiding star and you're saying, okay, like, we want this. We're not looking at something right here. We want this here. You're not driven by, okay, where's my money? And you're not coming in and saying, hey, I'm doing all this, and what are you guys doing? Then like, it gives you that ability to be adaptable, to be pliable, to be able to work with someone else and understand their perspective. Put your people first, because it's not all about money. So that from my belief, I honestly believe that's why this partnership has been very succtakeaway so far. And it will continue to be.
I agree completely.
Partnerships are really beneficial.
I've had 2 bad ones, and the takeaway, one of them was we weren't clear on what our goals were on one of them.
There you go.
And the other one was my first partnership, and it was just me and a guy that owned some properties together. And we weren't very detailed in like what was talked about and said. It was just kind of, I thought I said this, he thought I said that. And so you got to be clear. That's kind of where I'm saying, like, the roles, and detail it out as much as possible. And I was trying to help this guy, and he was saying like, well, what if, you put up all the money for a business, and then that guy gets upset that he's doing all the work? I'm like, well, you just got to talk about these things and say, hey, look, like, you're going to be doing all the work. I'm putting up the money. Are you okay with that? And like, there's no magic answer, but just talk through everything you can. And it really is marriage. And
it
so
legitimately is.
You have to like go through that dating process. And unless you're just buying a property together, that's a little bit easier. If you're just like, hey, we're going to buy this and sell it in 10 years. There's not a ton of decisions to be made, although there are. But in an operating business, that was everything you said, and then just having those goals, detailing the roles, and then no ego is to what I said of not saying like, I'm doing this, what are you doing? Stuff like that.
Yeah, and we did that. Like with Longhorn, I think we sat down for like 4 months, almost weekly. Sat down and went through every what if, exit strategies, who would do what if this happens and someone's hurt, what if someone dies, like those different things. We went through it and dove deep. And then after the partnership started, we still had to keep having. We still have to have them sometimes now, but we still had to have that regular communication, like in any relationship you have. The more you communicate, the more. Okay, let me put it this way: the more authentically, the more honestly you communicate, the better that partnership is going to go.
Sure. All right. Well, let me ask you this. Let's turn it a little bit. You're working out. You got a girlfriend. You got a good business. Sharp guy, motivated. What are struggles and challenges, and like, do you have big ones? Like, what is there anything that you're like, man?
I mean, honestly, like, just to be completely transparent for anybody watching this, like, I guess it's probably just the juggling of leveraging things. You don't realize it. I own or co-own 3 businesses. But doesn't mean I have walking around money in my pocket all the time. Like, if you're an entrepreneur, you guys are the same way. I know this. Like, if you're an entrepreneur, you're putting all that money back into things. So just from an outside perspective, something looks cool or like it's really awesome, but you don't realize the investment you make into building that.
Right.
So taking a lower salary, again, living in the cheaper house. That's something that's been hard for me, because when I worked a job, I made good money, real good money, versus now I'll take one of the smaller salaries always, until it's in a place where it can produce profit draws, and then we talk about building another branch and stuff. But that's a struggle. And then also just getting in your own head sometimes. Like, if you're not focused on where you're going, it's easy to get distracted by the things on the wayside and get off that straight and narrow path of where you're going with it. So I think probably the battle we probably all struggle with, that was probably not commonly talked about, is our negative self-talk. You can do as many things as you possibly want in life and do them very, very well. But if you don't stop to smell the roses and be like, okay, this is great, you can get caught up with just that new version of a rat race, which is just accomplishing the next thing.
It is. No, absolutely.
The next thing. Yeah.
I've struggled with that too. Like, I don't ever question what I'm doing, but a lot of times I would think back and be like, man, it'd be nice to have a little bit more money, not committed to deals, but in my pocket, and to shut everything off and be done done for 2 or 3 days.
Absolutely.
And I don't, like all of us, we don't judge people that do that. It's just different path, and different goals.
And exactly right. And that's what I'm saying as well. Like, even the person that works a 9-to-5 or regular job, that's amazing for them. That's the right thing for them to do. That's the normal, logical thing to do. You have to be a little bit crazy. And I've been told that my whole life I've been crazy. I openly embrace that now. I know I'm crazy. But you have to be a little bit crazy to have the sleepless nights, to take the smallest check, to live in the cheapest house of anything you own, to take abuse as an owner from issues you're having from clients or something going wrong, to answer your employees' calls at 1 a.m. when they're having a difficult time. You have to be a little bit like off-center. Like, a normal good person's going to want to be able to work their 9-to-5, enjoy their weekend, go to the river, go on a float, toss back some beers, and do that regularly, because that's a good life. Like, I mean, like, I have no hatred for that whatsoever. I've done that myself. But that being said, the way we are, like, you have to be a little bit crazy to sit there and obsess about the long term, obsess about generational freedom. Like, that's what it's really all about.
Yeah. And I agree. And I like what you said about becoming a different rat race, because it can.
Easily.
I mean, it probably does for everyone.
Yeah.
You're not just living in this perfect harmony, like it's, probably flowing in and out of it. Yeah. But to enjoy it when you can. Step back.
Or you get sucked into the, look what this person's doing, I'm only doing this, and the different levels of things you can never compare. You can never compare to anybody, especially people close to you.
Absolutely.
Hard as is to draw that line in the sand. If you're comparing, the joy gets sucked right out of it. Yep. So be grateful for where you're going, and even if you're having a bad time, don't look at it as a failure. Look at it as a learning lesson. Like, you're going to grow from it. Like, for myself personally, I've learned the most in life from things I've made mistakes on than I ever have from something I've done well. Yeah. By stopping and looking at the valuable lessons and saying, okay, we're not going to take that turn again. And all of a sudden, when you're not taking that turn anymore, you're making better decisions. Your life gets better. The fruit shows. You know? So it's all a learning lesson.
That's true. I don't know if this is good advice or not. Y'all tell me, but I've been talking to these new agents, and I'm like, it doesn't matter what you do, just do all of it. Yeah. Like, and what I say is like, you just have to go fail. Like, you have to fail at door knocking. You have to fail at doing mailers. Like, there's no magic sauce on here's exactly what to do to be a good realtor. But what is important is that you have some action and you fail and you come up with your own style. Like, you come up with a whole new way to knock on doors. Yeah. But go fail at knocking on them. Yeah. Like, just go. That's what I'm telling them. Like, just go do it.
That's literally the simplest difference between somebody who's successful and for somebody else that gives up. Is literally not quitting on it.
You're not going to ruin your real estate career by sending out those mailers.
Not one bit.
But it's hard advice because they're wanting me to help them. Yeah. And it sounds like I'm dismissing them, but I'm really not.
No, but you're absolutely not. In fact, you're empowering them by do it yourself. Because if I do it for you, what are you going to learn? Yeah. Like, if I bring you in and we joint venture a deal on something, and that's the only thing you're going to do, you're going to think real estate's easy, and you're going to expect me to do it every single time. But if you go get your hands dirty and you go chase, like, my first wholesale deal, dude, I went past hundreds of houses before I got that deal. Even one right now, like I'm helping James reach some of his personal goals, and we're on the fence about just assuming a note for a little property over here in Georgetown as well. Nice. We've driven by I don't know, 50, 60 houses before we got this one to where we're going to be close to that. I believe we'll close that, assume the loan, and it costs us almost no money out of pocket.
That's sweet.
We'll make $400 or $500 a month on that property.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but look at what it took to get there.
Right.
Like that's I'm saying, like, if you're just going to knock on one for sale by owner door and they slam the door on your offer and you're being like, oh man, like I don't have what Matt has. I don't have what Alex has to close deals. Well, they're just not quitting. Just going to keep coming.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, there's also just 100 different ways to do it.
Yeah.
You just need to find out what works best for that person.
Absolutely right.
Like, there is door knocking, there is mailers, there is cold calling, there is networking, there is,
Driving for dollars,
probate, divorce, pre-foreclosure, whatever it may be. And just do it all, find out what you like doing the best, and then go do it.
Yeah. That's the best thing about TRE and Longhorn and everything right now. As I was talking to Alex about this other day, we're literally, and people on the outside of this don't realize it, being on the inside of this, we're literally building an entire ecosystem here.
Mm-hmm.
From remodeling your home to doing new builds to selling the house to financing to everything. We're coming here where you can come in here and be able to get all your needs met from the perspective of genuinely caring about you. Because if you don't care about your people that you're working with, that's how you lose your client base. But they know, hey, look, this guy took great care of me. Like, didn't take advantage of me. Like, let me recommend you to my cousin and my uncle.
Right.
That's the real value. That's the real business in it.
Mm-hmm. You get that
Best
snowball
customers.
effect.
Yeah, absolutely. You get the best business possible. Whether your billboards, Facebook ads, Google ads, anything like that. Nothing is as good as a referral from somebody that's satisfied.
Mm-hmm.
Any industry.
Yeah,
Period.
I agree. It's
Referrals
easier.
are the
Those
best.
are easy leads to close because they're kind of pretty open. You know, they trust that person and they're ready to roll.
Yeah, they reached out for their need. They didn't Google somebody, and you instantly like, okay, Matt took care of me. Like, here's my guy.
Yeah,
you have an end. They're not going to go look for somebody else if their best friend says Matt's the guy.
Mm-hmm.
What's your favorite thing to do within all that is business?
The strategy and putting things together. I hate being in the day-to-day. I'll do it. I can figure it out. It's very healthy to do that, to learn every aspect of the business, and I've been able to do that in every business. But strategizing and building the plan, putting talent in certain positions. So I know my weaknesses. I know my strengths very well. I'm hyper self-aware, and I know what I'm good at. I know when I need to get out of it. So finding a James, finding a Lauren, a Brandon, a Keith, any of these guys that come in and they're so much better at that position than what I'm good at. But setting them in that spot, knowing I set them up in a spot where they can take care of their families, or even the guy that hired me in Hawaii, I moved him back here, gave him a job here. It was one of the most rewarding things I've done. Like anything like that, putting them in a spot to succeed and then watching them flourish. Like watching people grow as the fruit of some of your effort is way more rewarding to me than any money or any assets or anything like that. Not even close. Like that is such a good feeling. So that's easily my favorite part, setting up that system, putting specific personalities with each other so they don't clash, and then watching it grow is so satisfying, man. It really is. What about you guys?
Many different things.
Growing
something, solving problems, building something. And then once it's built, I kind of can get bored.
Yep.
I need, more to build. So building.
I relate.
Building is fun, and then building is fun in real estate. Which is kind of building, but it's closing the deal. It's not even about money. The money's great, but it just goes back into more deals.
Always. Yeah.
And real estate specifically, it's as soon as there's so much pressure internally until you get that closed and funded email.
Yep.
And then once that closed and funded email happens, then I forget about it, and it's on to the
y'all
next
just
one.
walk through that with me on one of my properties.
Right.
Literally just closed. Y'all did an excellent job killing that and getting
Thanks.
that an incredible situation, turning it into a win-win for everybody. But you're absolutely correct. Like that, there's no thrill like a win like that. There's none. It just makes you want to go do it again and again and again. It makes the no's you get until you get that final yes don't even matter. The more you get that, the more contagious it is for everybody around you, the more confidence and power you feel in doing it yourself.
Yeah. That's my favorite thing is the closing deals and building.
Yeah. I agree with you on getting bored quick, man. I have to be challenged and growing. Like the idea of sitting there and doing the exact same thing for the next 50 years gives me anxiety. Like that's the best part about doing what we're doing, setting up those systems, putting people in so they can in specific positions so they can take care of their families and grow and have a ladder to climb and know what that path looks like, but getting out of it and doing the next thing. I love that variety and that change.
It's different now. It's really cool, all these companies are growing with employees and people underneath us, and that's a very interesting aspect that I haven't experienced until now. Yeah. Because usually it's just myself or me and a partner building something, just us. But now, like you're talking about, watching people come together, the team flourish, the team get together, the team grow, and that is a new thing that's very interesting too.
And it feels incredible, doesn't it? Like you have a company barbecue and you're looking at everybody out there, you just step back, and it's not about like, look what I did. Not at all. It is, look at the beauty of what we are doing. Look where we're going. Look at the growth that's happening. And that's the reward I'm talking about that feels better than any money or asset you bring in, is that right there. Smiles on people's faces. Like, sounds cliche, but I'm dead serious. I truly, truly, truly believe in empowering your people and watering them, letting them grow like that. So it's
that's got to be your favorite thing too, I would imagine.
Yeah, I mean, we all like business in general, so I think all these things are like fun and fascinating. When I try to step back and think about it, I'm obsessed with like meeting new people, and what I've found is I'm looking for good people to figure out how to work with.
Yeah, you always are.
One way or another.
You always are.
It's pretty crazy if I was able to somehow show this, but there's all these people out there. Yeah. And so I think I like finding opportunities. I really like taking risks, and just, what you guys are saying is, helping build those people. That's the only way I know how to build a big business, or seeing a big business built, is to give people everything they need. And so I just like finding the right people, and having a bunch of lines in the water and taking risks. Yeah. And it's pretty fascinating. Like, I meet with so many people, and almost every person I meet with, something happens.
It's true.
It kind of blows my mind, because it might be in 5 years, it might be in 7 years, or it might be in 2 days sometimes. But it always works out.
You network like nobody I've ever met in my life. Yeah. It is your strength, but it's unparalleled, and it's incredible. You do, and even your tolerance for risk. You guys both, like, I look at that sometimes. I'm like, all right, like we're on the same page. Like, we're gonna take some risks right here. Yes. Yeah. It's like, woo! Like it's like looking over that bridge before you hop into the water. And you're like, that's quite a ways down. You can feel that, but once you do it, you're like, all right, that was fun. Like, you might have a couple.
Sometimes you don't look. You just jump. Like, we're still in the air.
Just go backwards, turn around, and do it. Yeah. Yeah. No, it's scary. It is, but that's the best part about it.
Yeah, man, and it's just, that's the journey. Like, it's not about the dollar amount, but it's about building and growing and seeing new things, and money's just a tool.
Exactly.
And the other thing that I really like is, I hate the concept of when people say competition on any of this stuff. It's like, I don't see it that way, because I'm just like trying to find my own unique path. Yeah. And so I don't know anybody who, other than title companies that just go meet a lot of people, I don't know anyone who does this in real estate.
I don't either.
And then our brokerage is, I don't know anyone who has a brokerage that promotes what we do. Right. And so that's very special to me, to be like, we have something unique. Yep. That's another thing, like finding things that are unique, whether that be people or businesses, and taking chances on them.
And even the way you run your brokerage, the split you give people, you take care of people like it's unheard of. The ability to let them be flexible. We all know, like, the countless strategies you can do under your brokerage. It's very flexible. And you said something a second ago that, it resonates with me, is my core being. You said money is just a tool.
It is.
That is everything. Yeah. And people to understand that, like, when I say freedom, my goal in life is freedom, people always assume that means money. But money is just a piece. Mm-hmm. My cell phone is a tool. My truck's a tool. My computer is a tool. Money's a tool. Yeah. Everything we use is a tool, all pulled together to reach that common goal, which is freedom. So I love that perspective. That's something you don't hear people say a lot of time. Money is a tool. But dive into that for a second and say, like, okay, like, it really actually is, like, when you fall in love with money, when you become obsessed with it, when you prioritize it, then all of a sudden it becomes something bad. But when you use it as your tool, like you use your phone or your truck or anything else, it helps you get places faster. It's a necessary tool. That's it.
Totally. And when you realize it's a tool, you allow yourself to get rid of it and use it.
Yeah.
Instead of just holding on to it.
Yep.
And it's got to be used.
Yep.
Like,
yeah,
we get money and it's out the door.
Oh, yeah.
Like you alluded to.
Yeah.
It's worthless unless you use it.
Yeah. It's depreciating.
But it's cool to think of it like that, because you can't, you're never going to, become super rich by saving every dollar you make. You got to go.
No. You'll have a nice
broke.
wad of cash in the bank for your kids to spend when you're gone if you just spend.
Yeah.
Were we talking about that the other day? Go broke? Was that you and me?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah. Tool. Got to have your tools out on the playing field.
Yeah, you absolutely do, man. I love that. That's one thing we have. I mean, I've known you, Matt, before we started in business at several years at least. Real good friends with you. We wanted to start multiple different things, but that common mindset there, and Alex as well. Like, it's like talking. Like you said, we're talking to a brother. Completely agree with all that.
Yeah, man. And it's for me, like, as just hopefully this is valuable for listeners. It's like, I think there's just a few simple things that people don't stick with. And what I see in meetings is nobody ever follows up, and people don't really seek to add value. And like, those simple things have provided so much for me. Yeah. Even if you remember when you were getting your license and you're looking for a broker. Yeah. It would have been in my best interest to get you to join our team.
I remember.
But if you remember, I was like, hey, based on what you're telling me, I actually think you should go here.
And you did. Yep.
And I did. And you didn't come with me, right? No.
But I am now.
Now we're partners in all this other stuff. So it's just a different approach. And like the guy I was meeting with today, he was just, his mind was blown when he was hearing me talk about all this stuff. Yeah. Because I'm like, he was like, how do you decide who to meet with? And I'm like, man, anybody. I meet with everybody. Yep. And that's my way of being unique. Yep. Most people don't do that. And he was like, man, that's really cool.
Yeah. And another thing I really like, well, both you guys, I like the way you handle people. You lead that conversation. You lead that meeting based on what do you need? How can I help? Mm-hmm. It's not what do you have that I can buy? What do you have that I can make money with? It is what do you need?
Yeah, and it trips people out. Like,
they're like, huh? They're like, what's your angle?
What is it? This guy doesn't want anything from me.
Exactly.
I should just give him something now. Yep. So it's just a different approach.
You did that way. Again, we brought Matt in, and you heard about it, I'm sure, but we had someone that wanted to sell a property here pretty recently. We went out there, and the guy was, he was a hardballer. Like, he didn't know we knew he paid for that property, and he was asking something astronomical. He would not budge. Matt, I let Matt run the whole thing, and Matt, is closed off and intense, holding this broom, like just uncomfortable. I probably would have left. Like, he was just not personable. He didn't want us there. You want to buy this property, here's my price tag, and it was just astronomical. Matt took the time to figure out what he wanted, and then pushed him and got a number out of him. And by the end of it, this guy's like, hey, I'm going to give you guys remodeling work. Got another property I want to sell. Like, I was just like, this guy was a jerk a second ago. Matt talks to him authentically for a little bit, and he's all of a sudden just bubbling. Like, it's pretty sweet, man. I learned a lot.
Thanks, man. Yeah,
it was incredible.
Fun.
Great job.
I did too. That was new for me a little bit.
Yeah, we were all just like, "Woo, all right." Like, that was awkward, but we got all our answers. Like, and he feels happy. Like, he's heard. Yeah. He wasn't taking advantage. We weren't trying to lowball and push him. Like, he got to speak his piece.
And I think for listeners as well, it's like, if you believe in what you're doing and you're not at your core, like, you believe, like, I'm really trying to do something good. Yeah. Then you don't need to feel bad about continuing to ask. Nope. It's not like I'm trying to sell you something and I'm forcing it on you. I'm literally just like, what is it? Like, how can I? And I'll ask until you literally just kick me out. And I still don't feel bad about that. Versus if I was selling you something, I'd feel different.
It's the difference between coming across as a used car salesman or genuinely advocating. Yeah. That different right there. And that's what you do. You genuinely advocate.
And you just have to keep pushing. If you believe in what you're doing, like, keep pressing until they just throw you out.
Yeah. You know? No, you're a bulldog at that, man. Thankfully, like, again, my skill sets are over here. Yeah. Appreciate that, man. Like, I don't have to deal with that myself. And I know you appreciate it as well. Alex is similar minded to me in that sense that he's going to be like, just go, go, go. But like, I would be just as happy just to stay behind the scenes and just knock stuff out. So you doing that stuff, you're carrying a big burden for everybody, man.
Well, I think, everyone has different skill sets, and that's what's so beautiful about partnerships is, like, if you can find those and get to work, it's unreal what can happen.
Oh, it levels up your life at a speed that you can never do on your own unless you want to play the lightning odds and strike the lottery. Yeah. Only possible way you're going to get that way.
If it was just me, like, I would just be a realtor / investor. I wouldn't have a huge brokerage, and I wouldn't have a construction company or be part of all these things. So
wholesaling, doing all that stuff. I mean, y'all guys got y'all have so much stuff going on now. It's difficult to keep up with. Every time I see y'all pick up another mobile home park or RV park or something, I'm just like, all right, surprise, surprise. It's like weekly it's happening now. It's amazing.
It's crazy, man.
It's amazing. It's only a matter of time, like Alex said, only a matter of time before we grab that 20-plex right around the corner from you guys live. Only a matter of time.
Yeah.
Manifesting that now.
The other day, yeah.
Turn that into 20 units that we're Airbnb-ing out. Oh, man. The most prime location in Round Rock. Incredible.
Long game. It's just another guy with a broom.
Yep. Another guy with a broom.
I like it.
What's the future hold for Mr. Sam Haynes?
That's an incredible place to be right now. So obviously, like Longhorn's getting my role in Longhorn is to systematize things, set everybody up for success, bring in qualified, accurate personalities that fit well with each other. So we're getting close with that, like where we can be out of that. So coming here in the next couple of months, I'm going to have an opportunity. I have amazing amount of opportunities compared to where it was like when I moved back here from Hawaii to now. I can do whatever I want. So I haven't made that decision completely yet. I'm looking at everything, and I'm going to make that decision with the cap on of thinking what benefits everybody else around me and my future as well.
Nice.
So, I mean, it could be instead of using flipping houses as a side hustle, I take that real seriously for a while, maybe start another business. I just love it. Or I might consult for a while, that's a skill set. I've helped about 6 or 7 businesses now, and including my own. Yeah. And every one of those businesses is still running. All of them doing well enough. There's a couple that are still pretty small, but that's something that I'm very passionate about. So it's Opportunity City. Y'all say it ourselves. It is. That's the best part about it is there's so much opportunity. Narrowing down anything I'm about to start on right now, it's going to take at least the next year of my life. So how do I want to spend the next year? At least. That's lowballing.
Right.
Hardcore focused 1 year of my life. So what I'm about to do is going to take part of my life. So I'm going to be very selective and take my time on it this time. But in the next couple of months, guess I'm going to be a free agent and figure out what I'm going to do.
What does 30 years look like, though?
30 years from now?
So you've mentioned not financial wealth, but financial freedom. What is long term? What's the goal?
Yeah, I'll clearly explain that to you. So freedom to me is the ability to go anywhere I want, anytime I want, without anybody telling me that I can or can't. Freedom is helping people that can't help themselves, and passion projects hand in hand. So the ability to give back, that is you guys know this, we agree on this, that is the most rewarding part of success. So 30 years from now, it's charities, it's seeing places in the world that you see in postcards. If I'm, God willing, I'll have a family one day, being able to be at my kids' sports games, support them, take care of my significant other, and I mean, invest still. I think I will always want to invest. But all this is to create the ability to experience this earth, to die with no regrets. Mm-hmm. Looking back on it and say, I did it all. Not like I lived a perfect life. No one does. But to be able to say, I helped people to the best of my ability. I changed lives by empowering people and doing things for people that can't do something back for you. It's one of the best feelings you get. Mm-hmm. So it's about giving back. It's about seeing the world. It's about spending time with whoever I'm blessed with in life at that time and decide to settle and have kids with. And then, just being happy. It's happiness, So 30 years from now, that's what my life looks like. I write down every year I break down all my goals into gardens and figure out.
You water those gardens?
I water those gardens for 12 months straight.
Yeah, nice.
I look at that and I don't hit them every year. Some years I hit more, some years I don't. But every single one of those things is a brick being laid on top of a foundation that's building something that I truly, truly believe in.
Nice.
I love it, man.
Yeah, man. It's amazing.
Advice for entrepreneurs, business people, what general, I know we talked about a lot of this, but what's most important to you?
I mean, one, don't give up. Even if you get knocked down, you got to keep fighting. For myself, no matter what gets thrown at me, I'm going to keep coming. Mm-hmm. You guys know my life story. We're not diving into that now, but I've had an insane life. Very blessed to be here. So don't give up. And then make sure what you're doing, you're passionate about. If you're not passionate about it, you're going to be 1 foot in on the water, 1 foot out of the water. You're going to talk about it. It's just never going to deliver on that. So being passionate about it. And then lastly, I said it early on as well, like have a plan for what you're going to do. Even you're bigger than we are right now by far, like what's the next step for you? Like we know we're probably looking at either Dallas or San Antonio, Houston as the next branch, and then opening another division for Longhorn in Austin that's a different niche than the one we're in right now. Having a plan, whatever way you want to grow. Maybe you want to sell that business, you know, maybe you want to bring in partners and get out of it. But if you can focus on what's most important to you and keep that as your guiding star, then it kind of eliminates all the bullshit along the way. So, I mean, that's, I guess, the best way I can put it. Like,
yeah, it's great.
Everybody's different. Everybody's in different phases. But if you analyze it that closely, I mean, I believe you'll be successful in anything you put your hand to.
For sure.
I love it, man. That's great. I think that's about it. Unless there's anything you guys want to touch on or anything you think is important.
I appreciate you guys having me. I love going to work with you guys every day and feel like work. It feels like we're literally building something, and we are. And so I'm grateful for every opportunity. I'm grateful for anybody that watches this. But no, let's keep pushing. And I mean, always, like, I'm just a phone call away. Like, let's keep adding value to everybody around us. Our network is why we are where we're at. It's why we're sitting here at this table. Our network. So let's keep building that network, keep helping each other, and watch what happens. Watch what happens 30 years down the road.
Let's get it.
All
right.
We got this.
If you want to get a hold of Sam, you can follow us on our Instagram. What's our Longhorn Instagram?
atx.longhorn is Instagram on there, or Longhorn Construction and Development on Facebook or Google, any of that. You can go check out all our 5-star reviews. We're very grateful for those, Matt. But yeah, no, I mean, I'm easy to get a hold of. You can call the office. We have excellent project managers, excellent head of renovations. We do great work. Our reputation speaks for itself. But any one of them can connect. Anybody that wants to talk to me at any point in time, I'll talk to anybody, any point in time. Have coffee with anybody, any way I can help.
All right,
cool.
I love it. Well,
thanks
you guys
for coming on, Sam.
Yeah, thanks, Sam. Thank you guys for tuning in to the Real Estate Podcast. We will be around. Reach out anytime. Peace.